I'm here and I'm live, but we're not going to officially start this until some of y'all check in and show up. There we go. We got 3 right away. 6. All right. So I'm turning on the camera a little early, but I was waiting for you guys. Well, welcome to the Art of Fire. I'm Bruce Ferguson. We got another wonderful adventure for you this week with our Facebook Live presentation. And hello, Patrick. Good to see you there. All righty, folks. So today our emphasis is going to be on pitchers and decanters. And we have a beautiful display right here. Hello, Lynn Bayer and Tracy. Good morning to you too. So here's a bunch of samples of pitchers and decanters. We'll get a little description of what we're going to do here today. So I'm also going to tell you that I love goofy jokes and puns, and there's a little hint up here on the board about something you may see or hear a little later on. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to start off this morning with a cobalt gold flattened pitcher, which is very similar to these right here. These aren't cobalt, but as you can see, the pitchers are flattened. And in the case of the one Josh will be making in just a few minutes, he'll have gold leaf on it, just like you see on that black sample there. We'll have an aventurine green decanter made, and Foster will be doing that. The decanters you see right here, a beautiful one in copper ruby and another in the violet color. And then after that, Todd's going to make what we call a Glenstone pitcher. And I'll have a full explanation of why we call it a Glenstone pitcher in a moment, but here's a sample of a vase made in the same style. We'll have a 4-color pitcher. Josh will be doing that. And then Foster will end up the presentation with a Ewer spout pitcher. Well, good morning from Forestville, David Hogan. And Bridget, you love that green color? Yeah, that is absolutely gorgeous. We've got some prices posted up here. Everything you see we make here is also on our website, artoffire.com. You can place an order there. Call us at 301-253-6642 if you'd like to place an order for anything. So there we have a variety of pitchers, and I'll show you a little bit more on what we call the traditional pitcher style, which is right here. That's the style Josh will be using to make the 4-color. And then the pitchers that have the angular opening on them, we call those the Ewer spout. And that's what Josh, got it all wrong. Foster will be making those a little later on. So before I stumble across any more words, John Ure won the free piece last week, this beautiful bubble optic vase. And for next week, by commenting, you can get your name in the drawing for this lovely little small pitcher. Absolutely ideal to set on your table. Well, Ruud, good to see you from the Netherlands, and thanks for the good luck today. I'd also like to give Ruud a shout out. I thought it was interesting he was visiting us from so far away, and I went to his website, and he had a really interesting technique on demonstration, and it was pretty much like furnaceless glass blowing. He wasn't blowing the piece, he was making a rose. And so we'll get maybe a link set up there for you so you can see it. But where there's a will, there's a way. And this gentleman has figured out how to make pieces using a glory hole and annealers or kilns and not even bothering with a furnace. So that's really cool. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. What's the difference between a pitcher and a ewer? Actually, in the older terms, ewer does refer to a pitcher, but most often they're made with a long, extended, angled lip on them. The traditional pitcher is the one that has more of a flattened top, but usually they all refer to something with a large opening and then a spout on it. Okay, what you got there, Josh?
So we have a chunk of cobalt blue.
All righty. Okie doke, there you go. It's got a pretty good sized chunk of that too, because he'll need that for this flattened pitcher. Josh will get that all heated up. And over here, we have our handy dandy homemade hold down the gold leaf box.
Vacuum plate.
Yes, vacuum. Yeah, we got technical names here. But anyway, you can see that it's a piece of carbide that's had small holes drilled in it. And this gold leaf that we're going to use flies around all over the place, especially if you've got fans on in the studio. So in a few minutes, when we get to that point, Foster will be carefully peeling off the gold leaf and putting it down on there. And we all keep our breath held so that we don't breathe and actually make the gold leaf flutter away.
Yeah, this is one of the times you're happy to have the camera today, right?
Yes,
Not
exactly.
down the gold.
Normally when we're doing the flattened pictures in the gold leaf, I'm the guy that's helping Josh, and that gold leaf has a habit of misbehaving. All righty, good morning everybody. All right, we're really flying in there. Thank you for that. Well, Rude, you're more than welcome, and if I can figure out again, or if you want to type in the name of that website, I'm sure folks might be interested in even checking that out, because it's a really fascinating process. He used cullet and actually heated the cullet up to form something to gather with. You've heard of that before, haven't you, Foster?
I have, but I was going to say, Bruce, explain for the folks what cullet is.
Okay, cullet is basically broken glass. In fact, well, you know, one of y'all asked last week if we'd take a picture of turning over the bucket that has the drip-offs in it. And we didn't get around to it, but we'll try.
Actually, I did.
Oh, Foster, you took a picture of it.
But I didn't know who to send it to. Or...
Oh, I was just going to post it. Okay, well, that's all right.
Okay, well, we can do that.
So
because I have
cullet
it on my
is
camera.
leftover broken glass. Josh is taking a gather. I'm going to show you a quick shot of a cullet bucket. And this is just broken clear glass that we've gone through, picked out any impurities, bad particles. And what we do with that is incorporate it into the mix. So we've talked before about adding cullet to the batch or powdery material, and that's what it's all about. So we could also take that cullet, put it in bowls or just into our annealer, and let it get to around 900 degrees or so, and then pick it up on the end of a pipe. And then we could use that to actually make small glass pieces. All right, so Josh has got the clear gather on. He's going to give us a little puff of air here in just a moment. You'll notice he doesn't expend a lot of energy on that. That looked even like less energy than if he was picking his teeth. So anyway, here we go. The air bubble's going to expand out into the cobalt blue and enlarge it. He'll take a couple more gathers. One more gather or two? One more gather will get him where he wants, and then he'll start shaping that out. So this again is the flattened picture. We're up to quite a few more people. That's great. Okay, so I'm Bruce. I'm doing the camera and the narration with you. We got Josh right here making the piece. Foster's over here standing by nervously waiting to throw the gold leaf on the vacuum plate, and Todd is pulling apart a glass cat down there. Okay, so here we go with another gather for Josh. He'll expand the bubble into this a little bit, and then he's going to shape it into more or less a cylinder. He'll give Foster the high sign to get the vacuum running, and then Foster will start laying out the gold leaf. So you can see this glass is really moving around a lot. It's 2,000 degrees. Oh, look at that. All right. So that's why keeping the glass centered is probably the hardest skill in glass blowing. Much more difficult than actually blowing into the glass. Again, we're using cherry wood blocks. We have a variety of sizes. The cherry wood's a nice tight grain. You can see the steam rising. That steam almost forms like a bed of lubrication for the glass to slide on. It helps shape the glass. It gives us a little bit of skin on the outside. Stiffens it just a little bit and it holds the shape. So Foster's over here doing a task that I'm awfully glad that I'm not today. And he's putting out the gold leaf on the table. Josh is going to work on expanding his bubble. You want me to help him?
No, how's he doing?
I'd say he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. We'll take a quick look at Foster going with the gold leaf. There it is. And that actually is 23 karat gold that's been stamped and pressed out into really extremely thin sheets. And we purchase them from a supplier, and we get a book of those and we lay these out. So here we are back to Josh now, getting that cylinder shape made. And the next thing he'll do is get his heat into it. And
Looks like we got a lost guy.
we got a little bit of gold on the floor down here, but that's all right. It blows around. Josh is going to pick it up if he can. There we go. Now we got some gold on there. All right. So it really doesn't matter if he picks up all the pieces at the same time. He can pick up a few at a time. In fact, if Foster just lets him blow and flutter around the room, we could watch Josh chase him with his hot glass butterfly net. There we go. Okay. So anyway, we're getting most of the gold on the plate. A little bit stuck to Foster's hands, but it always happens that way. Josh is going to roll across, get some coverage down on that. We'll get this heated up a little bit more.
Yeah, let's get one more.
He's going to get another sheet on there, lining the street right there. The gold leaf is beautiful. It really is, Diana. So Josh comes back, he picks the spot that wasn't covered and just hits it up a little bit. We don't always have to have complete coverage all the way around the thing. It looks a little more organic and interesting if the pattern is a little haphazard. I don't think he's really going to gather it off of Foster's wrist. How many of you were waiting for the paper to burn?
I hadn't seen it.
We saw it stuck. Yeah, we saw it stuck to. Okie doke. So now that we got the gold on there, Josh is going to work on getting this thing blown out, and he'll have a typically spherical shape on it until he comes to the point of wanting to flatten the pitcher. And to do that, he's going to use a couple of cork paddles. So he's going to get this shaped up, a little jack line cut in it. He'll be blowing it out a little bit more. Then he'll turn the iron over to Foster. And Foster's job will be to take a reheat and flash it. Then he'll bring it back to the bench and angle it downward so Josh can get it with the cork paddles like that. So Foster's getting an extra door open for himself, so this will go in. And you'll also hear Josh telling him to cap the piece, which simply means to put your finger over the mouth hole. If Josh uses the cork paddles and squeezes the glass, and you don't put a finger over the end, you can actually squeeze the air out of this. So Foster will get in there and heat this thing up, probably take him about 15 seconds or so. Then when he comes back, he'll take a position on the other side of the bench. Josh has got the cork paddles here, and he'll start working it. So here we come with a hot glass. You can see it moving around. So when he's ready, he'll let it fall and then flip it and cap it with his hand. And you can see Josh pushing down. And that's what flattens it. All right. Okay. Like I said, Josh and I usually make these together, but Foster did an absolutely amazing job on getting that together. That's a pretty tricky thing to do. So Foster will now prepare the putty as Josh flattens the piece, and then they'll do a transfer. Could you crackle the glass after adding the gold leaf? Yeah, probably so. The gold leaf actually kind of holds heat into the piece and reflects it out of the glory hole. Can I start over, Bruce? I'm late. No, Rachel, we won't, but we'll give all the introductions and the explanations, and I know you've seen these quite a few times. So Foster's fixing up the putty for it. Josh is cooling the site with a little bit of the wet newspaper. We'll attach that and break it off.
See, I like it when it's broken up like that.
Yeah, that really is a beautiful design. That's much more interesting than just straight flat sheets.
I agree.
So here we go with an attachment. Then we work on centering it, getting it all cooled on there. The putty is very hot. If you really want to mess with another glass blower, do your transfer while the putty is screaming hot and watch him dance around trying to control it. But we wouldn't do that to each other. Okay, so there we go. See how it fell? And Foster immediately got control of it. So he'll replace it up there on the yoke, and Josh will take back over. She'll be opening this up and then pulling it with a pair of tweezers. So this doesn't have exactly a ewer spout, but it looks very similar to the ewer spout that we have here at the studio, in that it is extended on one side the length of the piece. So you'll see that here in just a moment. He's got to open it up first. So for those of you just joining us, I'm Bruce. This is The Art of Fire. You're watching Josh Ries. Say hi, Josh. There we go. What a multi-talented man he is.
Hi, Josh.
And Foster successfully got through the gold leaf. Congratulations, Foster. That is tough.
It is tough. I was surprised.
Yeah, it's not, when the fans are blowing in here, it's not an easy thing to do. So anyway, we're working right now on a flattened pitcher, cobalt base with gold leaf over top. And in a few minutes, we're going to have an aventurine green decanter. And then a little after that, what we call a Glenstone vase, pitcher. Give you a little more information on that. He's going to come in with the jacks and open the diameter of this to a couple of inches. And since he's going to pull one side of it, he's not particularly worried if it's completely flat. So he, like the rest of us, he cleans his tools on his pants. I think it'd be fun to put some wax on his pants one time when he does that.
Wax my tweezers?
Yeah, there you go.
Wax on your tweezers is really bad, yeah. That's why he wiped them off, to make sure there's no wax. Yes, Joe, happy Tuesday. Brian Ritter, thanks for coming along. All right, so anyway, we'll take a tour of the desk and the display and everything a little bit later. But for right now, let's just concentrate on this lovely flattened pitcher. So now what you'll see Josh do is take his tweezers, he'll select the side to pull, and then he's going to let the glass fall. He'll pull straight out, and he does this very slowly, notice. If you pull too fast on the glass, you just get a little string, and then a little curvature for the spout, and that's how we do it. So now what he'll do is hold it up vertical so he can check the alignment. I'm actually going to come over here in front of him, and you can see that he's checking it for straightness and open, using his tweezers to adjust as necessary. In about 5 seconds, he's going to turn it over to Foster, who will flash it, and Josh will make the handle. So here we go.
Just one good flash and a good call. Just one good one.
It is gorgeous, Kristen. We really love these. Okay, so Josh is going to round the glass a little into shape, but you'll notice he doesn't stay on that metal table very long. That steals the life force from the glass. So now, a placement at the bottom of the handle. When he cuts it, Foster will flip it 180 degrees so it's hanging down. And Josh comes around, will give you a bird's eye view of the attachment. And then he uses a carbon bar. And thank you, Rachel, for the carbon bars. Rachel put those together a few months ago. Good morning, Michael Herman. You're just watching the finishing touches of Josh's flattened pitcher, cobalt blue with gold leaf.
I'm going to grab half the door.
Yeah.
So he expands that a little bit, and Foster's going to give him another door to get in. That handle increases the effective diameter of the piece. Beautiful. Foster's going to go glove up. He'll catch the piece after Josh taps it off, and we'll be through the flattened pitcher. The heating process there is very careful. You can't go too long or you'll distort the piece, but he wanted to get just enough heat in it that he can reestablish the line of the handle. And there we go. A little drip of water right onto the punty. A tap to break it free there, and Foster goes for the annealer. Well done, Josh. Well done, Foster, particularly with the gold leaf.
Absolutely, that's hard.
Ruth says, yes, I want to make it. I don't blame you. We all do. They're a lot of fun. Great job, guys. Absolutely marvelous. Okay, so let's go on back down here and take a look at what else we have in store and what's in the store. All right, so we're approaching our display table right here. And so one more hint at what might come later. This is an amazing exhibition. Okay, so In the front here, we've got what we call traditional pitchers. The top of it I'd describe as basically level with the spout onto it. Quite a few colors right there. Right behind them are what we call the ewer spout. And it is pulled up a little bit and sloped toward one side. Very similar to what you saw in the flattened pitcher. And in the back over there is a really lovely white traditional pitcher with a multicolor frit added to it. We're also going to be doing decanters today. So Foster will be showing you how we do those. This is a Gladstone vase. We're going to explain that whole thing in just a minute to you, tell you what's going on there. And here are samples of the flattened pitchers. Now you'll notice those two in the back, the pink and the green, have a linear design on them. That's made from putting them into an optic mold and then twisting the optics. No leaf involved, but really quite lovely. And right here at the front, we have a black flattened pitcher with the gold leaf on it. Our giveaway from last week was for John Yor, this beautiful bubble optic vase. Let me get in here a little closer on it. And for next week, if you're commenting, your name will be entered in the drawing for this beautiful little clear pitcher. So you can see that sitting on your kitchen table sometime. All right, let's do the prices since we haven't mentioned them. The pitchers and ewers are $84 a piece. A 4-color pitcher, which we don't have on display right now, but when it comes time to do that piece, I'll give you such a detailed explanation that you'll imagine it very well. Flattened pitchers are $136. If they've got the silver and gold leaf, you see the prices there. Decanters are $110, and if you'd like a Glenstone pitcher, that's $145. So call us up, 301-253-6642. Yes, Bridget, I imagine you could use the hell out of that little pitcher. Do we have a catcher for the pitcher? Well, yeah, we do, but we're not going to go into that. And it would be great for maple syrup, Carol Ann. I'm thinking that'd be a good-sized cream pitcher, but we'll get to that later. We've done the cobalt gold flattened pitcher, and if you're paying attention, there's another little clue as to what you might find later on in this broadcast. Glenstone pitcher will be after that, the 4-color, and Foster will finish us up with a ewer spout pitcher. So while I've got your attention here, and I'd really like to tell you about a new dimension to what we're going to be doing here at the Art of Fire. Previously, we had a charity event, a fundraising thing for a group called No Kids Hungry, and you can check them out at nokidshungry.org. And so this virus thing has really been devastating, especially for children and those that are impacted by hunger. So we had a tremendous effort before, and it motivated us to do it again, to raise money for nokidhungry.org. So what we're going to offer, you're going to have to wait for part of it just a little bit. We just thought this up this morning, but on our Facebook page, a little later today or very early tomorrow, you'll see samples of pieces that we will make. And so anyway, the pieces are going to be $55 a piece. That will include tax, shipping, and of course, the charitable donation. And we'll have pictures on Facebook, or you can call us to ask about it later on. The first orders that come in will be made live next week as a part of our broadcast. So once we post the full information, get on board with us and you'll see what we're making. So that's a really exciting thing for us next week, is to be able to help some folks out and also have some fun making glass, and you guys will get to see it or own one, if you order it. So get your orders in as soon as we get that information up. Any of these pieces you see here that are in our catalog can be ordered, artoffire.com. Just get on with us there. And we also have the ubiquitous t-shirt still, $20 a piece, but that doesn't include tax or shipping. And the gray ones we've got in a variety of sizes. Okay, the next piece up is an aventurine decanter. And I would say that means Foster's the man of the hour or the minute. So aventurine green has some flecks of like mica in it that give it kind of a sparkly effect. And when it's cooled and everything, it really shimmers. It's a beautiful color. You can see just a little bit of it in that chunk right there as Foster turns it and the light hits it. So he'll melt that in and start the glass blowing process. Carol Ann, it's our pleasure. We're always thinking of the kids. She thanked us for thinking of the kids and donating. So we'll be doing that next week. Sorry I can't show you all the pieces and everything right now, but like I said, we just figured it out this morning, moments before going live. So we want you to look for it because it'll be a really great thing.
We'll have the pieces available online in the next couple of days.
Okie doke.
Yeah.
All righty. So
this color is coming around, heating in the glory hole. This is going to be the bottle portion of the decanter. The stoppers are made in previous earlier situations so that the stopper can fit properly into the neck. That technique only took me 4 years to figure out, rather than making the decanter and then trying to fit a particular stopper into it.
okay, and I believe you have the stopper on the bench.
I do.
I'm going to go over and let them have a picture of that while you marver the color.
Okay. Yeah.
So here is, and I dare to pick it up, the finished Aventurine stopper. And if you look closely, you can see the sparkles in that. That's the Aventurine green. And you can see that Foster has already waxed it up a little bit. He will actually use this to set the size of the opening in the decanter. And he's put a couple of, I think he's got a couple of ice picks there, but we're going to put it back down in there so it doesn't roll off the bench. He needs it handy so he can grab it. So he's got the Aventurine green rolled out in shape, a little bit of an air bubble into it, and as it cools for momentarily, it's time to go ahead and take another gather. Probably get about 2 gathers on this. We're going to do optic mold with this, Foster?
I am.
Oh yeah, we can't live without optic molding. Okay. So yeah, Fern, we think it is clever, and like Foster said, it only took him a little while to figure out it's better to make the stopper first. So once again with the cherry wood block, and that'll shape it and also cool the outside a little bit, give him a little bit of stability. When he slides the iron across the rail like that and points it down, what he's letting the glass do is elongate so it doesn't get all pushed back up onto the pipe. Glass that's on the pipe is not usable. Glass that's off the pipe is. So we want as much usable glass as possible. So Foster will block that in place, and then he'll initiate an air bubble into that. It's got a little one started into green, but because it wasn't real big, the bubble isn't really big. So after that cools just a little bit, he'll blow and cap once more. Your finger goes over the pipe, the air goes in, and out the other end it goes. There goes the air into the Aventurine green. It's going to let that stabilize for a few moments, and then it'll go take another gather. So be sure to comment. Commenting is how you get entered into the drawing for the free piece. And next week's free piece is a beautiful little clear pitcher. The winner of last week's was John Yor, and that was the bubble optic vase. We'll show that again in a few minutes. So Foster's off to the furnace to gather again. He's going to stop by the pipe cooler. Some of you have asked in the past if things get hot in here, and they do, and sometimes the pipes get a little bit warm. So with this trough of water over here with a small recirculating pump, we can lay the steel of the iron up in there, cool it off, and it's more comfortable to hold. Normally the pipe doesn't get too hot beyond about a foot of the glass. But if it starts to get warm, it's a little uncomfortable, and by cooling the full length of the pipe, we're able to grip the pipe closer to the glass, which gives us an extreme advantage in leverage. So that's the real big thing about having a pipe cooler in the studio, is you can grip the pipe almost anywhere along its lead. Here we go with another blocking of the fresh, hot, clear glass. We melt clear glass only. We add color to it. If you watched the piece Josh made, he picked up a chunk of glass, as did Foster. If you watched last week's episode, you saw Todd using frit, but we always add colored glass to the clear. Alrighty. Well, hello, Kimberly. Glad to see you from Elkridge, Maryland. Foster's shaping the piece just a little bit now so that it'll go in just like he wants into the optic mold. Again, optic molds just provide impressions. They change the visual appearance of the glass. They don't make it into its final form. There are molds that do that. You can buy molds that are shaped like bottles and make bottles out of it, or hearts, or anything you want. But this is freehand glass blowing. The design and construction is totally in the artist's hands. So Foster's going to heat that up, drop it into this large 12-point optic mold, and when he blows, the glass will be thrown out into the gaps there beside those points. So he's just about ready to go. Let's see what happens with the glass. Watching carefully. He doesn't have a thermometer, so he has to observe the glass to judge the right temperature. When he gets that with just the right amount of color and motion, into the mold we go, and then he blows, traps the air in there, it blows out against the ridges, and there we go. All right, so now he's got the optic ridges in the piece.
You want to step aside?
Yep, I will. So what he'll do now is roll it on the marver to cool the tip a little bit. Notice how he's pointing it downward. That removes a little bit of heat from the bottom of the piece. You'll also notice it's elongating a little bit. Is it difficult to blow into the mold? No. When the glass is hot, you can blow. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about a mold or freehand. However, if the glass gets cold, all bets are off. Very difficult to do. So he's getting his neckline cut into it, and he's probably going to give it a little bit more air, either this time or next. Yep, here we go. Now this is free blowing. Just put it in your mouth and blow a little bit, control. So now you see what we've got here. He's cooling the tip so that it doesn't move as much. And the next thing is to heat the whole sucker up and spin it out. Yes, sir. Okay.
Hang it and swing it.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of interesting. Foster's got this technique down really well. Lots of times you'll see when he swings the glass upward, he lets it go about 3/4 of the way up and then pauses because he doesn't want the full rotation on it. So see how he comes up, but he stops. And he goes up and around and up and around. He's watching the length of that. See how he stopped? That stoppage up there kept it from going any further. He doesn't want it to get away from him. Now, it's really wiggling around like a huge worm. And what he's got to do is concentrate on straightening that out and blowing at the same time. And now you can see the shape of the pitcher beginning to arise, okay? You've got the big bottom on it. The neck will be expanded later on. Right now, he's going to heat up the bottom, and in just a moment we'll have the transfer. So almost all that expansion was in the lower third or even quarter of the length of glass, and he managed that because of the way he swung it out. He's still got a nice thick bottom in the piece, so it won't crack out. He'll flatten it a moment, and Todd will come to help him with the transfer.
You're gonna make it now, or you're gonna do your own thing?
So we've all got slightly different ways of working. Sometimes we make our own putty, sometimes we have someone bring us the putty. In this case, Foster's making his own putty, and Todd's job here is going to be to flash the piece and then present it at the bench to Foster. So he's just over here. He's going to go in for 4 or 5 seconds, get a little heat on it, then it'll be coming out. Foster's on his way, and we'll watch him make this putty. You'll notice he doesn't have a lot of glass off the end of the pipe. It's just a little bit so it adheres to the bottom of the piece and sticks until he wants it to break free. It's less than 1/4 of an inch. Todd's taking another flash on the piece. So we're constantly watching this stuff, okay? If we see that it's getting a little too cold, we just interrupt the process and come back. So now Todd's over here with the piece on the bench. Foster also took a reheat. He'll guide the putty into the center of the bottom, and then he'll center it. Now he's putting downward pressure with that file, and that allows it to center. He's just scratching it, and he taps the pipe where the glass is. Very important, if any of you are glass blowers, that when you do that, you tap the glass, not the pipe, because that cold file will actually dent your pipe. They're made to cut metal. So, off we go, another successful transfer. Foster's next job here is going to be to open it up a little bit. This is a decanter, so he's going to want a nice level top. If he needs to trim it, he will. If not, he'll just go into the opening process. Remember to comment. Comments are how you get entered in our drawing, and we'd love it if you like us. The most important thing for us, though, is if you share, because when you share, it expands our number of viewers. So hopefully you've got friends too, and if they're watching what you watch, and especially if you say you like it, then we're likely to get a lot more viewership. So he's using the jacks, going fairly deep into the piece, and now a pair of straight shears to cut the end of it so that it's going to be nice and level when he gets done. And yes, the glass cuts very easily when it's still hot. If it's too hot, it just kind of folds around, but it's not a big deal to really cut the glass. That surprises a lot of folks. Alrighty, so now he's back into the glory hole heating, and you'll notice he heats primarily the upper part of the vessel because that's what he's working on. So after getting the whole thing in there, he'll probably pull back a little bit, and that concentrates the heat on that long neck. Once he gets that to where it's hot enough for him to manipulate, he'll be back at the bench and go to it. Thank you, Joyce Ferguson. I like you too. And welcome to anybody else that's just joined us. I'm Bruce Ferguson, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously. She could be liking someone else. God, I hope not. Anyway, I digress. For any of you that have joined us just recently, Foster is making an aventurine green, I lost the word. Decanter, yes. I think that's like the second time in all these weeks that's happened. Okay, so you saw him pick up the stopper and put it in the mouth, judging the size. If he decides he needs a little more opening in there, he'll stretch it open just a little bit more, and then so he's back at the glory hole, heating it up. So anyway, back to the commenting and sharing. Please comment. That'll get you entered in our drawing for next week's free piece, and the sharing helps us expand our viewership. So now Foster's going to get the jack blades in there, and by placing the blades in, depending on the depth, he can affect the curvature of that opening. And now he's going to take a test fitting with his waxed up stopper, and it's in there just long enough for him to set the size, and he doesn't have to worry about it cracking the green stopper. Can it get stuck? Conceivably.
But so the way around that is to put tool wax on the decanter stopper so that it slides versus getting stuck.
Yeah. Now, it is conceivable if you had the glass too hot and burned off the wax, but he doesn't. And there's your aventurine green decanter. Tap with that hammer handle, and away he goes with his insulated glove to put it away. All right, let's hear it for Foster. Way to go. Nice job. Well done. Yes, sir. Okay, he's got it in the annealer. And let's go find out what's next. Of course, hint, hint, here is an exhibition of our glass. We've got pictures, we've got decanters, we've got the prices posted up behind them. I'll scan that in a moment. But here's a sample of the decanter you just saw made. And the next thing up is going to be what we call a Glenstone picture, a Glenstone pitcher. So this one happens to be a vase, but look at the pattern in the optics there. So a little bit of background on why we call it Glenstone. There's a wonderful museum in Montgomery County, the Glenstone Museum. And if you haven't been there, you really need to visit. It's a wonderful opportunity. Access is limited right now due to COVID restrictions, but when they're fully back open, do yourself a favor and check it out. At any rate, they also have a facility there where you can eat. And they contracted with us to have some pictures made. Well, if you watched last week, you saw that the folks that had originally wanted platters decided that they wanted tall cylinders. We're happy to accommodate them. As it just so happened, the folks at Glenstone decided that a beautiful vase like this on their tables would be something that they really wanted. So we went ahead with them on that. But Todd also worked on doing the Glenstone pitchers. So let me come on over here to Todd while he's cooling off the pipe and getting ready. So Todd, can you give us any further information about Glenstone or what went on? Nope. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Several years ago, we were approached, studios were approached by the Glenstone Museum, and I here in particular, to contribute some work for their dining room expansion. Kind of a long story, so bear with me. We were fortunate enough because they wanted to source local artists to help provide material and provide work. We were approached as Art of Fire, and I worked with Ibeer and the staff at Glenstone to coordinate what eventually became, started off as a picture, eventually became the flower centerpiece vase, if I'm saying that right, for their new dining room. So I'm actually really proud of that. So what we're going to do today is take that centerpiece vase, which is a tall cylinder, optic cylinder. We're going to put a little spout on it and a handle. And we'll see how it goes. I haven't done one of these in a long time, so I make my apologies early and frequent.
We have absolute faith.
Well, that makes one of us.
So this will be done in all clear glass. Can I explain what's going on with Todd's shirt? This is actually a way to substitute for the official Art of Fire t-shirts. So he's taken and added the logo to a shirt. And it's almost the same color as what Josh has on. A little darker shade. But
Michael there?
Yes, Michael is here.
What are the 5 fingers say to the face?
Okay. Well, Michael's here, so you can make noises when you add the handle. You plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Okay, so he's got his first gather of glass in there. Once that's stabilized, he'll get another. What is this, 2 or 3 total?
may
Just
go 3
depends?
strips.
Okay.
Depends on how it comes out. This piece will actually be a little unique in that we are going to use an optic mold, and then we're going to use a wooden cylinder. When I made these for the Glenstone Museum, it's a fairly large order, so we did use a little cylinder mold to keep the diameter consistent.
Oh,
But every
cool.
piece was still finished by hand. Still punnied up, still finished by hand, still annealed like we always do. It's a little unique.
Okay, so this will actually get us into the other, partway to the other type of mold. Hey Foster, could you come over here please and take out the cylinder mold just so the folks can see it? So you can see the cylindrical shape in that mold, and what this will do is give us a uniform size and shape to it, but it won't be the finished product. But this is different than what we usually call an optic mold, which is just for visual impressions. So this is to actually help shape the glass. Okay, thank you.
And it's a rotational mold as opposed to a stationary mold.
Right. Okay, so we're going to put, they have to stay in water, and that's where they spend their life. That keeps them from cracking and burning. So what will happen with that later on is Todd will be able to drop the glass into that mold, and while turning the glass pipe and blowing, it'll fill out to the side walls of that cylindrical mold. So it's not entirely a mold for making a finished piece, but it takes you part way there. We do have some other molds that get you toward a finished piece. In fact, some of them you can't even spin them around. He's going to be gathering again for a moment, so I'm going to wander over here and show you the type of piece I'm talking about. These hearts here are made in a mold that basically sets the piece. Okay, so that's the difference in that and an optic mold. So in those, the piece is held in one position, blown into the mold, the lobes of the hearts are created, and then with a little bit of working while it's out of the mold, we put the curve in the bottom. This one's going to take a little more work after the fact. But here we go. He's going to let this glass drizzle off. As you can see, at 2,000 degrees, it flows quite readily. Again with the cherry wood block. What were those icicle-looking things with the hearts? They were icicles. A decoration, just like some people want to put up ornaments, some people want to put up icicles.
And if you haven't heard of the Glenstone Museum, it's down in Montgomery County here in Maryland. And it's one of the larger private collections, I believe, private collections of post-World War II modern art. So, it's pretty awesome stuff. I believe I've heard that there is a connection between the founders of the Glenstone Museum and the Pantone color guide, but I cannot confirm that. But I've heard it in conversations. So maybe you guys can look that up and fact check it. All right, we're ready for the optics.
Okay, so you can notice that the bubble doesn't go real far down in there, and the walls are very thick. That's because the overall length of this piece is probably going to increase by about 2 or 3 times, and the width is going to increase substantially. So what he has to do first is go into this optic mold, which will put the ridges into it, and that's going to set those lines. Then he'll work on reheating and getting into the cylinder mold. The trick with this is you'll notice that those ridges are not very deep, so the heating process is really very carefully done, because if you heat too much, you wind up melting the optics out of it. But I think it was about 6 weeks you'd seen Todd do one of these, something similar before. How often do you have to replace the blocks? Well, if we're careful with them, probably every 3 years, 5 years. All right, into the mold we go. He's going to blow real hard into the mold. to force those thick sides out in. And now you can see the design right there. Beautiful. So now his efforts are going to be directed toward keeping those ridges in there as he finishes the process. He's going to have to get this blown out a little bit more. He'll probably be stretching it some using gravity. And here he goes on to marver. Notice with the angle of the glass like that, he's touching the glass that was very close to the pipe. And it narrowed it down there. It actually pushed it off the pipe. Getting his jack line established, and that's pretty much going to dictate where he puts the glass into that cylinder mold right there. It's also increasing the diameter, and when he goes into the mold, he'll be hot enough that drops it a little bit. So you can see it's much bigger diameter than what he needs for his finished product, but usually what we do is overinflate a piece a little bit so that as we lengthen it and blow it out and everything, we get it just to the size we want. So remember to like and share. If you share these videos, we get your friends getting to see us, and we get to more people. And if you comment, and I noticed quite a few of you are today, if you'll comment, then what that's going to do is enter you in the drawing for next week's free piece. And we'll go back over to the table in a few minutes and show you that. But right now, we're concentrating on Todd. The wet newspaper is a perfect insulator, allows him to grab that glass with his hand. It also cooled the bottom significantly so that he can blow it without thinning the bottom too much. When the bottom of a piece gets thinned out too much, when you go to take it off of the putty at the end of the process, it can crack out. So now, he's a lot bigger diameter, but that's going to decrease as he heats it and elongates it. And then it'll be just where he wants to go into that cylinder mold. Thank you, David. Alrighty, so we're just about to get ready. Now, Todd's using gravity here and a little bit of the propeller motion, the centrifugal force, and you can see how it's lengthening. It's no longer that big diameter, and he's getting it to where it will just go perfectly into that cylinder mold. When he gets it in there, Foster will close it up and hold it closed for him. All right, so the calipers there are to set the diameter of that top opening. He doesn't want this piece to go in there too large. When he's got it just right, he'll drop it down into the mold, begin turning and blowing, and from the position of the handles, I'm kind of thinking that maybe he's just going to hold it together with his leg. But we'll see. I haven't watched him do this in quite a while. So this lengthening right now is helping him decrease the diameter. Yeah, the aptly named blow hose does just exactly that. So he's checking the diameter. He knows he can get in there. And so what he'll do is heat this up, then he'll close around the piece and blow. Then in order to extricate himself, how's that? Extricate? Huh? Okay. I'm looking at my vocabulary checker here. Anyway, when he goes to take it out of the mold, it'll be a little bit large to come out that hole top, so he'll just open the mold and pull it out. So he's got his blow hose on. He can do this himself. He closes it up, uses his legs, and now he's actually blowing right now while he's holding it down in there. You can see the steam coming out of the mold right there, and there's your bottle shape right there. Cylindrical shape, beautiful. Now what it winds up being is a little bit of stabilization, making a punty, and then doing a transfer and opening the top. So as we've told you many times before, glass blowers typically form the lower half to 2/3 of a vessel first, and then after that they transfer to a punty iron and then come back and finish. Josh has the putty prepared. He's going to go take a flash on it so it's sufficiently warm to stick to the bottom. And Todd's going to use this little map gas torch to heat the neck a little bit. And this is going to keep it from cracking when they take it off. So we'll get the putty placement. And then you'll see him heat the neckline with the propane torch. Map gas it is. And what that will do is keep that from cracking when he breaks it off. That part was a little bit cold because it was only the lower part that went back in the glory hole that last reheat. So a little bit of water here, and then he'll give it a tap, and off it comes. Beautiful. Now he's got that small opening to work with, and that's where he's going to start. Once he gets this opened up into a full cylinder, then they'll concern themselves with putting on the spout and the handle. Todd said it was a little too quiet in here, so yeah, he's making some noise. How about you all make some noise for Todd, and I'll just describe it to him, okay? Let's see some thumbs up, some hand claps. Oh yeah, the face with the, oh my God, what's he doing? Okay, so there we go. All right, so the next step in the process is going to be to open up the mouth a little bit, then start opening up the shoulder area. We tend to personify our pieces. Is he twisting the pipe while the glass is in the mold? How do the lines stay straight? Well, he does turn it, but he doesn't turn it with excessive speed, and there's not enough heat to warp it, okay? So that's the combination of things he's putting together. You're absolutely right, Bridget. If he were to twist it in the mold while it was hot, it would change the lines. But primarily he's blowing out against the mold, and if he doesn't force a contact that really creates a lot of friction or torque, it doesn't twist.
I think you just made that up. I think that was all complete.
It's the truth. I did make up the phrases, yes. They're all looking at me like I've lost my mind, but that's essentially what keeps it from twisting in that cylindrical mold. So the top was a little thick and uneven. He's created a constriction. He's going to put the shears onto the neck, and then Josh will tap it and it will come off. And there we go. Now we got a nice even lip to work with and an excellent thickness right there, and it's off to the races. Well, actually there is no race. We're not in a hurry to get this done. So the thing is, you got to take your time when you're doing this. What other items do you make using two molds? What other items do we make using two molds?
The hearts. Stemless wine glasses.
Stemless wine.
And the hearts.
Heart.
Everything else is totally by hand. Everything.
No,
is
he's asking
finished
about
by hand.
two molds. Using two different molds.
Oh.
Like the optic mold and the shaping mold. This is Ramiro, so
That's Romero.
he's over here enough. And by the way, Ramiro, we want to thank you for the honeycomb molds. They're really nice, really beautiful things to work with. All right, now you can see the shoulders still need some inflating, some opening up. Todd's going to work on getting those taken out to the same diameter as the rest of it, and then he'll get it finished and they'll put a spout on the lip. Actually, they won't put a spout on the lip. It's not a separate piece of glass. What he'll do is use a small tool and some focused heat to make like an indentation in the glass. We do have a technique where we can add a spout to the glass, and maybe someday we'll do that. The Ampolina, where you plunge a pipe into the side of the body.
He had a spout to me. Medical procedure.
Had a spout.
Had a spout to me. We gotta learn that from Steve Major. I'm gonna need this one again, but that shoulder's doing it there.
There we go. He's opening it up with his jacks. And he's just going to take his time. He'll also use the wooden jacks, the Parchofi. You still haven't seen the honeycomb mold. Okay, Bridget, I'll move away from Todd for one moment. These are something that Ramiro made for us and welded them together, and they're ball bearings, and the circles of ball bearings that are welded together, and then when the glass goes into it and comes out, then you've got the honeycomb shape.
There's actually a piece on the desk.
There is a piece on the desk.
Yeah.
There is,
Wow.
that's right. So I'll go up, yeah, I did show that once before, a few weeks back, but I'll do it again. Okay, if you're joining us late, welcome. I'm Bruce. This is Todd making our piece here. He's making what we call a Glenstone pitcher, and the reason is the folks at the Glenstone Museum ordered them. So he's going to make one here for y'all to see. Getting his cylindrical shapes set, and then in a few moments he'll get his spout in there. We also made, Foster made an aventurine decanter, and aventurine green, and Josh made a flattened pitcher in cobalt glass with leaf on it, gold leaf on it. So once this is done, this part's done to Todd's satisfaction. So what he's doing right now is focusing heat basically on one spot, and this is where the spout's going to move. Because as we all know, hot glass moves and cold glass don't. So he's making a small portion of it hot. When he gets that hot enough, he'll go take a flash. Oh, here we go, right away with the carbon bar. And there you go with the formation of the spout. All righty. Now the only thing left to do is get a handle on it. Can I tell Todd to get a grip on it? And yes, this piece would be available for sale. You can contact us at 301-253-6642. Go online to our website, artoffire.com, and it can be yours, as can, I believe, except for the aventurine green decanter. That was an order, wasn't it, Foster? Anything else we make today can be yours.
Oh no, the cobalt flat pitcher with gold leaf was also an order.
Oh, okay, very good. But if you'd like a cobalt leaf flattened pitcher, you can order one and we'll do it for you.
You can take your order.
Be more than happy to. You can also find all those things in our catalog with a variety of colors and shapes. You can order anything from there. And we also offer gift certificates. So if you don't want to have to order a piece and have it sent to your house and then take it elsewhere, you can give someone a gift certificate. Todd's going to place the glass for the handle on the piece and then pull up gently and slowly. He'll cut it off, and then Josh will turn it so that it's in a position that Todd can get down. And let's go from over here. He puts a little curlicue into it, and then up for the attachment. Now he'll take the piece, and since it's been out of the heat a little while, he's going to give it a flash. Then he'll take the carbon bar and adjust the shape of the handle. The carbon bar doesn't steal much heat. It's a nice way to alter the shape of a handle or many other things. But anyway, he'll rubs the glass. It doesn't take the heat out of it. If you take the heat out, it would freeze up. So we're just about ready to knock it off. Josh is getting gloved up here. Let's see them mitts. All right, so these are insulated gloves. This glass is still going to probably be close to 13 or 1400 degrees. And that's way more than Mr. Ries wants to touch. So, you're going in 1 or 3? 3. He's going in this annealer over here. So I'll come on over and we'll get a view into the annealer as Josh puts it away. And you can see our other pieces in there right alongside the flattened pitcher and the decanter. Way to go, Todd. Josh too, way to work, guys. Beautiful. Okay, so that's what we call our Glenstone pitcher. And as we mentioned earlier, It was originally an order from Glenstone Museum here in Montgomery County. We have on display the vases that they wound up wanting. And Bridget had asked earlier about never seeing the honeycomb mold, but here is a view of how it comes out. And we just love working with that mold. Okay, so we have had the cobalt gold flat pitcher, we've had the venturine decanter, and then we had the Glenstone pitcher, okay? So next up is going to be a 4-color pitcher, which unfortunately we don't have on display here. But what we can do is show you kind of how it's going to go together. So these little pieces of glass here are 4 different colors. And let's see, there's gold, there's cranberry pink, there's a blue, and there's a purple. And within those 4 will be fused together, and Josh will pick them up on the end of a blowpipe. And then as he works the piece of glass, he's going to keep them in the same relational position. So he doesn't want to twist it or torque it, because he'd like to keep the panels of color the same. And that's what we're going to be going with. So let me know when you're ready to pick it up, Josh. Well, just hold on a second while we show the folks all this beautiful work here. So here are our traditional pitchers. This is the shape Josh will be using on the 4-color pitcher. Here are the decanters. You saw an aventurine green one made a few moments ago. This is the Glenstone design. These are vases they took as centerpieces, but Todd first developed a pitcher for them, and he showed you that just now. The flattened pitchers are back there on the back row. This is last week's giveaway piece, and this went to John Yor, and if you will comment, you'll get entered in the drawing for this week's piece, which is this beautiful clear pitcher. Alrighty, so now we're going to work our way back over here. Josh is going to take a preheated blowpipe, and he's going to have to move a little bit quickly as he picks this up. And I'm going to stand here, and hopefully he'll be able to show us the 4 pieces of color on the end of the pipe as he runs by. And they don't always pick up, but if they don't, we can always go back. So here he comes. You can see the 4 pieces on the end of the pipe, and now he's got to heat them up and then get them put together. Okie doke. Then after that, he'll be working making the traditional pitcher shape. Let's get a real close look at this here. He's using his tweezers to reset the alignment of them. One of those little guys is kind of falling back a little bit, but with a little persuasion, he'll get all 4 of them in there, and before you know it, he'll have a nice cylindrical pattern there to work from. Remember to comment and share. Commenting gets you entered in our drawing. If you'll share, that helps us increase our viewership, and we would really like that because we want to share this with as many people as possible. Also, if you're joining us while we're sitting here waiting on glass to dry, which is not far removed from watching paint dry. Actually, it's melting, not drying. But anyhow, I digress. Actually, I'm trying to read the note that's on my hand. We've got something new coming up for you next week. We're taking things in a slightly different direction for next week. Some of you may be aware, the studio had a very successful fundraiser event for NoKidHungry.org. And that was earlier in the year, and it was restricted to stemless wine glasses. That's what was made. This time around, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. And since we just came up with the idea this morning, we don't have sample pieces to show you right now. But fear not, either later today or tomorrow, next day at the latest, we'll have pictures online on Facebook showing the pieces that you can get. And what we're also going to do with this is designate a specific gaffer to make the piece. So there might be one design that Josh will do, and you can select that piece, not so much because you want Josh to make it, but because you love the piece. Todd will have something else that he'll be making, Foster will also, and me. And then what we'll do, if you've ordered your pieces before next Tuesday's show, we'll start making them. Now, if we get more orders than we can fit in a 2-hour session, we'll continue to make them. Fear not there, because we really want to raise the money for charity. But if you've got your orders in as soon as possible, we'll be making the pieces next Tuesday on our live stream.
Yes, and it's a great, really great organization. Especially, my wife's a school teacher, and we see firsthand that, you know, a lot of kids go hungry. So it's a really great organization, and they do a lot of great things. So yeah, if you can help out, it would be really great. So noKidsHungry.org. So, yeah,
Great.
Yeah,
And the deal with us is going to be, the pieces will be $55 a piece, but that will include shipping and taxes, and of course, your charitable contribution. So we want to really support these folks. So we would really like to have your help on that. And again, we'll be on Facebook maybe later today or tomorrow. We'll have the information up there on how you can go about ordering, what the pieces are, the selections you can get, and then depending on what gets ordered, Foster, Josh, Todd, or I will be making them next week live. Okay.
You'll come out from behind the camera.
I have to hold the camera and make a piece too?
No, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There you go. Multitask.
I do a lot of solo glass blowing, but I don't think I've ever done it one-handed. However, if you missed it a few weeks ago, Foster developed an interesting camera technique. So if you've ever wondered, wow, I wonder what Bruce looks like, this is the new camera technique. And I can tell you now, watch Josh using the block to shape the piece. Isn't that interesting? It's well done. Now, we're just messing around here. Okay, so Josh has it. Josh, can you just slow a little bit maybe, and they can see the colors? You can see the colors in there. Thank you. So they don't appear as the pink and the gold and the blue and the purple yet, but that's because of the heat being generated. But you can see that by controlling the rotational speed of the iron, Josh has been able to keep them in a straight line. Now, at some point, some of them will move just a little bit, but that's why he's turning the pipe slowly, and also because that's just good glass blowing technique. But he's not applying the pressure constantly in just one direction, unless he sees a little bit of a twist.
And I did. I twisted it when I gathered, so you saw me. I'm actually turning it.
So what he did was he untwisted. See how he's staying right there for a moment, and he twisted coming down the bench only, applying the pressure. That took care of untwisting the little twist that he put in. So it requires a great deal of attention to detail, plus the knowledge of what to do if things start to go south. And we can kind of see those colors inside forming up now, and there's still 4 separate panels. Way to go. Josh is expanding the bubble in it a little bit, and just as you saw Foster do earlier with the decanter, he's tapered the shape to go into this optic mold. Now compare the depth of the ridges in that mold to the depth of the ridges in the piece that Todd just made. Quite a bit of difference. All right, here he goes. Into the mold, blows hard, it expands out into those cavities, and now we've got those beautiful ridges in the piece. And again, he's got to turn both directions. He needs to turn clockwise, and how does he turn the other way, Foster? Anti-clockwise, yes. Foster learned his glass blowing in the UK, and for most of us that have come in here, the introduction to anti-clockwise was a little bit strange at first, but now we like it. All right, so Josh is getting the basic shape of a of a picture here. He's got the larger bottom on it, the narrow top, and in just a moment he'll start swinging it out. Gets a little heat in. Now he's going to carefully watch the glass elongate. See, he didn't even start swinging until he'd let it lengthen a little bit. He may not even go all the way overhead. Oh yeah, it's too much fun. But once it gets a little bit longer, then he'll hold it out and blow it. Just like Foster had to control that little snake withering around, he's got to, wiggling around, he's got to blow it out some, and now we're starting to see the shape of this beautiful picture taking place. He's reinforcing the jack line so it'll break free. And I'm going to ask him just to slow down a hair, and you can see all the colors in there differentiated now. So he's going to then take a heat, flatten the bottom, and off they'll go. So it really is quite a trick to keep those four colors pretty much separated as you work it. And you have to keep watching it in case you have to make a momentary adjustment. So be sure to like, share, and comment. Commenting gets you entered in the drawing. Here we go with the wood paddle to flatten the bottom. I'm going to walk around the other side so you get a good view of the punting process. Sharing helps us. When you share, our viewership increases, and we really like that. It's helped us out an awful lot. And especially when we get into this business of raising some money for a charitable organization, that would really be great.
What's my daughter say? Sharing's caring?
Sharing is caring. There you go. All right, here we go with the punty attachment. A little bit of downward pressure with the tweezers to keep it centered. He scratches the top of it, and the vibration takes it free. And there we go. And you can see the four panels a lot more clearly now, simply because of the heat. In fact, you might, well, you know, I said last week I was going to get one of those filters so they could look here. I promise we'll do it for next week. So now it's a matter of opening the top of the vessel. Again, glass blowers typically work the bottom half to 2/3 of a piece first, transfer to a punty, and then open it up. So now it's time to work on the upper half. And since the glass has to be cold enough to fracture and break off, then we've got a little longer reheat. This is usually the longest reheat on the piece. Their entire first half, he was heating the whole thing up. But now, since the bottom half is formed, he's going to heat the top and open it up. You can order gift certificates too on artoffire.com. It's a great way to give glass without having to actually transport it yourself. Get a gift certificate for someone, they can go to our catalog and order whatever they like. And not that we doubt your ability to order for them what they might want, but sometimes that's a good way to give a gift. Notice the throat of this is opening up quite a bit by stretching the jack blades apart, and he's going to open up the top a little bit more before they go through the process of putting the spout on in, because again, this is not a separate spout. Thanks, David. We appreciate the compliment. So, like us, share what you see, let the world know about the art of fire. We're certainly trying. So now Josh is going to open that up a little bit more, almost like folding it back some. See him flare the lip just a little bit there. And then after this reheat, he and Foster will team up to put the spout in place. And you don't just have to buy a gift certificate, certainly get something for yourself. You go online, artoffire.com. We got a full catalog there and lots of pieces. We'll take custom orders. If you want something that it doesn't look like we make, don't give up. We probably do. And Foster's been at this 40 years. I'm sure there's quite a few pieces that is in the catalog in the back of his mind. Okay, so Josh is going to take the carbon bar, place it on the spout, or the spout area. Foster will close down around it, and then hand Josh the jacks, and he'll round it out. And that's how we put the spout in. Once Josh gets that to his satisfaction, yeah, Len, they are pretty colors. And I'm going to come up here while he does this. I'm not going to ask him to change what he's doing, but you can see the light pass through. So you can see that gold right there on the side where the spout is. Off it goes to Foster, who will flash it. And now we got Josh ready to make the handle. Yes, Patrick, the colors are really coming through quite well. And it really is nice when it starts to cool off a little bit, the glass that is, and you can really see them. So Foster will come back to the bench, and he'll keep it turning a little bit, but then what he's going to do is stop it with the spout facing down. That's so we get the handle on the opposite side from the spout. Josh places it, pulls it up a little bit, and he'll cut it. And now with his tweezers, reach up and attach it, and then use the carbon bar to stretch it even further. You need a door? Notice with the carbon bar, he's able to gently manipulate the glass. If it starts to cool just a little bit too much, he'll go back and take a reheat. We got a beautiful gold panel coming up dead center to the spout. I'm going to assume that was intentional. Tell the truth, yeah.
No, well, actually the lip was pulling a little bit, so
yeah.
It just worked out really well.
Yeah.
Just about there.
So some of the colors in there are a little stiffer. He mentioned the lip was pulling out a little bit. It might be that some of the soft glass was moving differently than the stiff glass.
Yeah, the gold's a little stiffer.
Yeah, so by making his spout there, he's able to manipulate it and give it a beautiful symmetry. Okay, David Hogan says he might need this for his collection. It could be yours, David. Contact us at theartoffire.com or call 301-253-6642 and you can have this one. And if somebody else wants it and he beats you to it, you can still order it. We're making them. There you go. It comes off and Foster goes into the annealer with the 4-color pitcher. And there are our pieces for the day. Kind of hard to see in there. It's a little bit dark. But at any rate, yeah, okay. Foster's got it all open. We do this for a second. Okay, very good. All right, so we got all that done. Wonderful. Great job, Josh. Let's give Josh some hand claps, a few thumbs up. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's see it. Okay, so we'll come on back down here and see what is up. So if you were with us last week and we started out, we were going to do platters and wound up doing cylinders. And so just to satisfy the people that were looking for platters, I managed to find a couple of tracks from the platters in 1950 or 55, okay? Well, I've given you a couple of hints. The first hint was when I come up here and I say, look at this beautiful exhibition. But the other one I told you to look for was on the board over here. I used to be a school band director and I was a trumpet player. And this is Migorski's Pictures at an Exhibition, but I'm going to rename it Pictures at an Exhibition. Anyway, it's a really great piece. All right, so we've done the cobalt with gold flattened pitcher, the aventurine decanter, the Glenstone pitcher, the 4-color pitcher, and now we're going to see the Ewer spout pitcher, and Foster's going to do that. A quick review of the pricing if you want any of the pitchers, or whether they're the traditional or the Ewer, they're $84. The 4-color is $100. Flattened pitchers are 136. That's if we've done them, say, in just a single color, like this beautiful pink here or the green. They'll have an optic twist to them. We do have the option of adding either silver leaf or gold leaf. Here's a sample of a black one with gold leaf. The decanters are 110. They could be in the color of your choice. And well, while we're up here at the front, this is John Yours bubble optic vase. So we gave this away for last week. And this one right here is what we're giving away next week. Get your name in the comments. Here are the traditional pitchers made in the same style that Josh just made, the 4-color. There's not a 4-color in the back, but it's still a beautiful white with multicolored bases. And this here is the ewer spout. This is a spout that's swept upward, and it's very similar to what you saw on the flattened pitcher. Foster will be making that. And before we get too far away, let's remind you all once again that we've decided on a fundraising activity for a very worthwhile charity. It's called NoKidHungry.org is their website. And we had a fundraiser for them much earlier in the year where people ordered glass. Proceeds went to this charity. So this morning we decided that we're going to try and incorporate a little bit of that into our live streaming. So we don't have pictures of what we're doing yet. We don't have order forms because we just decided on it today. But by the end of the day or tomorrow, we will have online at our Facebook page all the instructions on what you can get. So there'll be a selection of pieces to be made, and also there'll be a designated gaffer or artist to make them. So Josh will be making one type of piece, Todd will be making another, Foster another, and me yet something else. So you will be able to order what you want, and we'll be the ones making it. Full details to follow, but the price will be $55, and that will include all tax and shipping, and also the charitable contribution. So the information will be out there. Any of you get your orders in first, you can watch yours being made next week on the live stream. Any orders that we do get in, even if we don't have time to film them on the 2-hour session next week, we'll get yours made and sent to you. So please help us support this very worthwhile organization. All right, Foster, time to roll. Here we go, buddy. You know, with digital cameras, do people on set still say roll it? I guess, I don't know. Maybe some of the terminology dies hard. But that's a Bruce Willis movie. Oh my God, you gotta stop me. Okay, Foster's got his iron, he's got the glass color on it, and he's gonna melt that in.
This is cobalt blue.
Cobalt blue, okay. Cobalt blue ewer. And if you do like I did and go to Mr. Google to find out the actual definition of ewer, a ewer is a pitcher, okay? But when you go to the images and start looking at them, especially ones from historical collections and whatnot, they're usually kind of an extended spout that sweeps up to the side opposite the handle. Some people call them goosenecks, but to differentiate between our traditional and ewer spouts, that's what we call them. And you can go online, artofire.com, look under our pictures, and you'll see them there. And we have pictures of our pitchers. Say that 6 times real fast. All right, Foster's going to melt into cobalt blue. I hope y'all caught that with Todd saying that. Okay, Foster will marver that into shape, start an air bubble into it, and then we'll go from there. So the basics of starting this are very much the same. The difference between the ewer and the traditional pitcher is really going to come after he's completed the transfer. And that's when he'll cut the glass in a different pattern. A little bit of air, and the bubble grows into the cobalt blue. And you can see the diameter of that increase. There we go.
I want to know why Foster gets flowers on his marver.
Because he's a special guy.
To see
Don't forget, you can get t-shirts too.
That's right. The leaves.
We have t-shirts for sale. The red ones are in short supply. Got plenty of the gray ones. They're $20 a piece, but that does not include tax or shipping. Foster's headed over to the furnace to gather up more clear glass. And he may strip some of this off in the furnace, so we'll try to get a view of that. So he gathers it up.
Not on the first gather though.
Yep, okay, he's got just what he wants on it, so there's no stripping on it. Maybe the next one, yeah. Yeah, he's an exotic dancer too. This man is multi-talented. All right, so he'll use a cherry wood block to shape it. It gives you a little bit of shaping, but it also chills the outside of the piece, and that helps control it to keep it from moving too much. Well, congratulations to your daughter, Kristen. I'm sure a picture would make a really wonderful wedding gift. Let us know if you'd like one. And for any of the rest of you, whether you got somebody getting married in your family or a birthday, anniversary, or whatever, these make great gifts. Go online, artoffire.com. Give us a call, 301-253-6642. And we'll be glad to help you out with birthday gifts, wedding gifts, anniversary gifts. I can think of one viewer that probably doesn't want glass for her anniversary, and that would be Joyce Ferguson, because we have plenty of glass around. But since it will be our 50th anniversary in January, I might just have to create something special. All right, now Foster's going to strip some glass off back into the furnace. Notice this cutout in the shroud. That's so he can protect his hands from the heat. He's going to gather up the glass, then he's going to point the pipe downward and raise his hands so they're protected by that little cutout. The glass stripped off in the furnace and remains usable for someone else. What a considerate guy. Okay.
What a pal.
What a guy, what a guy. All right, so now you can see how that's really moving around a lot. We need to get some stability into this.
Joyce Ferguson just texted me and said, you better not make her glass for your 50th.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll make her some glass for your 50th.
Okay, a little compressed air into that, and we've got it expanding. He's going to go cool the pipe. There's a clue right there. See how far his hands are back on the pipe? That was a pretty good estimation that he wanted to cool that off a little bit. They don't get incredibly hot. They're not going to really burn, but the further up you can grab the blowpipe, the better leverage you have. And that's what it's all about.
It's all about.
Patrick Foley says 50 years, Joyce must be a saint.
That's in capitals, Patrick.
Yeah. She gave up on stopping the dad jokes a long time ago. Okay. We're using the optic mold, Foster? We are indeed. Hey, it's fun. You might as well use it. Okay. So he's going to heat that up. And in the words of Jackie Gleason, oh, this isn't time for Jackie Gleason yet. So he's going to cool the tip of it, and then it'll be away we go. So that cooling of the tip keeps the glass from blowing out the bottom. And it's also, when he blew it out, it expanded the diameter a little, so it fits better in this particular optic mold. So we always got to pay attention to what type of mold we're using and how much glass we have on the end of the blowing iron. More heat. And away we go. I worked it in there. And there we go with the ridges. Lauren wants to know, can you duplicate a piece? Yes. Oh, Joyce says the 4-color picture would look good in our house. And Josh is trying to cause some trouble again.
Make up your mind, Joyce.
That's what you get for
Okay.
50th.
So there he goes, cooling the tip so he can blow it out some.
It's actually right on all counts.
And in just a moment, Foster will be playing Swing Out Sister. Not a moment, the moment of recognition from these guys. That's all right. Okay, so then he's going to spin it around and lengthen it, get it into that shape. The shape's going to be kind of like the, looking like a decanter a little bit, the lower half of it. And yes, Theta answered someone, and if those of you that might not be watching the commentary, someone asked if we could duplicate a piece. We've quite often had customers come in with a family heirloom that's been broken by accident, and we do the best we can to come very close to it. Sometimes they're made with different colors or different type of glass, so we might not be able to put it back together exactly like the Humpty Dumpty thing, but there's a rap song with Humpty Dumpty in it. I can't remember it right now. Anyway, so we can replicate products quite well.
Well, it's called the hump, Bruce.
Huh?
It's called the hump. The Humpty Dump.
Humpty Dump. Yep. Okay. So you'll notice that he didn't get quite as energetic as he did with the last one on the swing out, but that's because he needs to control this at this point, because he's going to lengthen the top of it when he goes to make the cut. There's that bulbous end there to hold plenty of fluid of your choice. This one's not spoken for, is it, Foster? No. So somebody online can order this piece right here. Watch it being made. You can have it in another color if you like. Just contact us. So in this case, Foster's having Josh make the punny. Foster will keep doing the flashing and attach the punny in just a moment. So from this standpoint, it really pretty much looks like any other picker, or the decanter too. It's after he does the transfer that we'll see the difference. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, Josh was just telling me the Humpty dance. Yep. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Okay, here we go, centering. Getting it centered up, and then we'll have a little bit of coolant. H2O, not antifreeze, no ethylene glycol in here. But that will cool it, and then a tap, and it comes free. There we go. And you'll notice too that it's kind of thick on the end. That's so Foster can continue to work it. Notice that Josh only just now, as I walked up, pushed the whole piece in there for flashing, and Foster took off. It's for you to finish. Actually, he's adjusting the heat on the glory hole so he gets what he wants to work it. And now he's going to concentrate his heat on the throat and the spout area. And then he'll show us some magic with a pair of shears. It's a really kind of tricky move. I mean, he's been doing this for many, many years. But to cut into the piece and go at a really steep angle and then come up the other side, that's a real talent. You're going to open it a little first? Okay, so it'll open it up a little first to give him some room to manipulate the shears, and then we'll see the magic cut. So the blades go in nearly horizontal, and you can see him letting the blades spread apart. And when the blades, well, he's going to do it right now. He's into the cut. So see, he's turning the pipe slowly, then he changes direction and comes back to it and goes around. There you go. So now the application of more heat and then a little bit of spinning it out and he'll have the ewer spout just perfect. So that's a pretty complex cut to do right there. So that'll, yes, sheer magic. You got it, David. Yeah, that's a good one. So you might want this piece, somebody. It's not spoken for, and we can do them in any color you want. Get you a ewer spout. It's a very, very beautiful piece. Okay, so he's going to heat that up, and then if he needs to, he'll round it out a little bit, but more than likely, he's going to elongate the neck now by spinning the piece. So let's stand over here out of the way.
Why are you stepping back, Bruce? Are you worried about it coming off?
I don't know, but it's like every time I move, he spins it toward me.
You're just that kind of a guy.
Yeah, it's a magnetic attraction. Okay, so now he's spun out the spout, and we'll get a good shot of that when he goes to the bench. But that centrifugal force then was what lengthened it and smoothed it out. So there, now those are some jacks made of Teflon. He's going to use them to put the curvature into the spout. It also stabilizes the sides, and now he's handing it off to Josh for flashing, and he will make the handle. So there you get a really good view of how that cut finally turns out. And believe me, I've tried that many times, and it's tricky. If you stopped before cutting it all the way off, would it be a vase with a swirled piece on top, like a calla lily? It could conceivably, but if you didn't cut it all the way off, it would probably be a little bit hard to control where that cut was. Not only where it would show up, but perhaps as far as any sharpness, unless you could torch it. But we'll talk about that later. Josh has got the spout turned down. Foster's going to place the handle and then pull up on it. After he cuts, Josh flips it straight down. And you'll notice it really wasn't a flip, it was a gentle turn. He's cutting to expose fresher, hotter glass, and then he'll make his attachment and use the carbon bar to round it out. So while the glass is still this very hot, he's got a lot of opportunity to change the shape. He just makes sure that it doesn't fall down and hit the body, and it doesn't, because he's been doing this so very long. And yes, Patrick, it is beautiful. So now he's got the glory hole opened up a little bit more, just to get a little more heat in it. And a
That's what O does out at the fair. Yo,
oh, okay. All right. So now he's got the handle placed. He's going to take another flash, and then he'll take it off.
Sorry, that caught you totally off guard.
Thank you, Kristen. We appreciate that. By all means, everybody, we hope you're enjoying this. We hope it's not only informative and educational, but it's fun. And of course, we'd love to sell some glass. So toward that end, call us, 301-253-6642. Order online, artoffire.com. Foster's going to go over and use a butter knife to cool around the putty joint. Then Josh will hand him the hammer handle, and when he hits the pipe, that slight amount of vibration is what will take the piece off. There it goes. Foster's got it, and off to the annealer. Do you ever make colored handles? Yes, on occasion, but they're a little more tricky to deal with. Okay, so before we end things up, I'm going to give you another little look at what we've got here, but I'm going to give you another spiel, so please don't go yet. I promise not to take too much of your time. Here's a display of what we've been making today. We've got the flattened pitchers, some with leaf, gold leaf or silver leaves available. We've got decanters. We've got pitchers in the traditional shape, also with the ewer spout over here. We've got t-shirts. No, we're not selling Foster and Josh. Okay, so you've seen what we have there. But your comments will get you entered in the drawing. All right, now, in all seriousness, we're trying to support a charity, NoKidHungry.org. So if you'll go to them, please, go to us, please, and what we make, we're going to send a portion of toward charity. We did this earlier in the year. We were restricted on the number of pieces or the types of pieces. So we just came up with this idea this morning. Check back on our Facebook pages either later today or tomorrow. We're going to be posting pictures of pieces that will be available. And what we'll do is when you place your orders, we will make those pieces next week. The other thing is each of us will choose a piece to make. Those will be displayed online. And then if the piece that you want happens to be the one Josh is doing, you'll watch Josh make it next week, or Foster, or Todd, or even me. So please, it's really going to be great for the charity, and it'll be great to get you involved. I do know that the price will be $55, which will include tax and shipping, and of course, charitable donation. And again, check Facebook and find out all the details then. So once again, hey, this was our 12th episode. We've had more episodes than the original Star Wars. Yeah, okay. Hey, who's going to be Jar Jar Binks? At any rate, thanks for joining us. It's been a great day, and we'll see you later. Goodbye from the Art of Fire.